excited today. Today's video is going to be on my conversion story to Islam. I know a lot of you guys have asked me to make this video, and I've been wanting to do it for such a long time. I finally got the chance to just sit down and record. I would like to start by saying that I come from a non-religious family. My parents do believe in God, but they don't believe in religion, and there is reasons for that. My grandparents went through communism. My parents were born and grew up during communism. My country was one of the most isolated at the time, and religion was banned by constitution. Basically, people have moved away from religion. It doesn't mean that people are not spiritual. So that was the case in my family. I grew up without any religious education whatsoever. We don't have religious lessons in schools. So basically, no one ever spoke to me about God, what's going to happen to me when I die, or anything like that. However, I was very spiritual ever since I was a little girl. I used to always ponder about life and the purpose of my existence, why I am in this world, what is going to happen to me after I die, why the world is so complex and who created it, what's the purpose of us being here. So I always had these thoughts in my mind, and I used to meditate a lot. Ever since I was very little, I used to go out in the garden and just look at the stars at night and just think, who created these stars? It's just such a perfect creation. When I was about 9 years old, I started going to church. Now, nobody in my family went to church. And my father really didn't like that. He used to tell me all the time, how can you believe that God has a son? He just did not like that. He's like, God is independent and God needs no son. However, I was a really stubborn girl, and I was very curious. I wanted to learn things. I wanted to know things. So I kept going there. And my parents never stopped me from doing that because they raised me to be independent and to make decisions for myself. So basically, my father would show me what is wrong and what is right, and then let me make a decision. So I kept going to church. I used to go 2 to 3 times a week. I used to even teach Bible to the little kids, and I really loved it. I loved the people at church. But then there was always a void in my heart. I could not explain it. Why I have this religion, I'm reading the Bible, but there are still things that I keep wondering about and I can't find answers to. And then later on, I moved to the States, and there I continued going to church. Before that, I tried different churches. I went to Orthodox church, to a Protestant church. In the States, then I tried different churches as well, and I used to do that every week. However, I had a lot of questions I couldn't find the answers to. For example, the Trinity. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I couldn't understand it. How does it work? And every time I try to ask questions, the answers are not satisfying. People are just like, oh, well, that's the way it is, right? You just believe in it. However, for me to believe something, it needs to make sense to me. It has to make logical sense, and it has to be something rational. Anyways, I went to the States, made friends from all over the world, and I used to go to parties with them. And I'm seeing all these college kids, they're drinking and they're smoking, all kinds of crazy things, and I felt really, really uncomfortable. Every time they would offer me a drink, I'd be like, no, I don't want it. Well, why don't you want it? Don't you want to have fun? I'm like, well, I can have fun without drinking. I really hated the peer pressure, why people weren't themselves and they were just trying to fit in and live the college life, right? So I felt very, uncomfortable in that kind of environment. And then at the same time, I was doing a lot of activities back home. I was on TV, on different shows, I used to do acting, I was an MC for many concerts, and just a lot of places and activities in which I were in the center of the attention. So I was doing the same thing even when I was in the States. I was traveling, and I really loved it. I was getting the things that I always wanted for myself. At the same time, I was going through a lot of struggles. I was just thinking about the people that surrounded me and life in the States, which was very individualistic to me. I see people working all the time and they're running to work. They're just doing things, drinking in the weekends, but I see that they're not happy even though they are doing all these things. I'm like, what is the purpose of you working all day long, just barely paying bills. These people are not happy. They go shopping, but they're not happy. I see all these girls, these women trying to always dress up. I'm not saying there's anything wrong about that, because I used to do that. I still do that. If you're doing it because it makes you feel good, I mean, there is no problem about that. But a lot of girls do that so that they feel accepted by their friends or by guys. I was just really confused. The lack of spirituality, and everybody is on their phones, and there is a big void. I feel like people are so unhappy. There's so many people that are on drugs. Why so many young people are on drugs? So I kept wondering about all these things. At the same time, I kept wondering, why am I unhappy? It happened that there were a lot of Muslim people around campus and my college, so I made friends from work and from school. And one time, these girls, Muslim girls, they invited me over to their house it was during Ramadan, and these girls wear a scarf. So I had at the time a very, very negative image of Islam. Because of the media and everything, I had a really bad image of Islam. I never thought about converting to Islam or anything like that. And just hearing about it, or just the Quran, I would get scared. I just didn't want to have anything to do with the religion. But I didn't have a problem with the people for as long as they don't talk to me about religion. And so I went over to their place, and they were fasting. I don't know if I should call that fasting, but they were not eating and they were not drinking. At the same time, these are girls who cover. They were doing a lot of things that Muslim women are not supposed to do by religion. I was really shocked because I had a completely different image of Muslim women. I thought they were conservative, and I was just so shocked. I'm like, why are these women doing these things? Is this how Muslim women actually are? So I just go home, and that's the first spark. I wanted to know what Islam is all about, what these women are all about, because I hear in the media that they're very conservative, and I went home and I researched it, and I was like, this is so much hypocrisy that I couldn't even swallow it. And that's how I got exposed to Islam. I did not know at the time that all it takes for someone to be a Muslim or to be called a Muslim is for them to declare that there is no God but God, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his prophet, believe in the angels and the holy books. But I didn't know that there are a lot of Muslim people who do things that are completely against religion. And then I went back home for an internship. I was wondering how I can grow spiritually and how I can become a better person, how I can understand this world, and how I can find answers to all these questions I have, how I can fill this void I have in my heart. And I figured the only way I could do that was to humble myself, to open my mind and open myself to new ideas and new experiences. I started, because I got interested in Islam, I started watching videos, and my mom started freaking out. And her reaction was really not good. So I kind of had to hide that. I was really confused during that time. Then in September, school started again, so I went back to the States. I was taking a class on different world religions, so I was learning about different ideologies, theologies. I then searched Islam and what does it mean, and it means a voluntary submission to God. It's not just a submission, it's a voluntary submission to God. And I was wondering, why do people submit to God, or why should people submit to God? I kept pondering, I'm like, everybody is following something, everybody is worshipping something, everybody is submitting something to something, whether it be money, whether it be fame, whether it be a religion, whether it be drugs or alcohol, everybody is submitting to something. So I said, then why not submit to something that is worth submitting to? So that was what was going on in my mind. And one thing that I was really troubled with in the religion I was following, Christianity, even though I really believed in God and I believed in Jesus, was the fact that Christianity was very incompatible with science, because I did believe in science, and for me to be convinced about something that it is the truth, it needs to make logical sense to me. It has to be rational. I went online and I was searching about Christianity and Islam as well. And then I was just blown away because I found verses of the Quran that were obviously revealed 1400 years ago, and one that later proved in the 19th century. And I was, wow, this is mind-blowing to me. I went and I researched Quran. It was the very first time that I wanted to play Quran. I don't know why, but I was always scared to even listen to it. That's how powerfully media impacted my thinking. Anyways, I just YouTube in the Quran. I played the first chapter, Surah Al-Fatiha. And as soon as I heard it, I don't know what happened to me. I kept crying. I replayed that for 6 hours. It penetrated my heart so deeply that I just don't know how to explain it. It was just so powerful. And I learned it in Arabic that same day as I was playing it. I don't know, I was just so impacted by it. Like, I couldn't stop crying. And then I said, there is no reason for me not to believe in this. I already believed in Christianity, and one of the wonderful things about Islam was that I didn't have to give up Christianity. I still believe in Jesus, but I just believe that he's a prophet. I went to the restroom, I washed my face, and then I ran to my friend and I said, I want to become a Muslim. She's a Muslim girl. I said, I want to become a Muslim. I want to say my Shahada. Can I say my Shahada? That was like the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me. And then after that has been a really long journey, a beautiful journey, but at the same time very challenging. It's not easy to be a Muslim convert living in the West. But that's a completely different story. Perhaps I will share with you another time. I hope you really liked this video and enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and keep an eye for my next videos.